You did it. There was a job you were interested in, so you applied, you prepared for your interview, interviewed, crushed it, obviously, got an offer, accepted it, and now you are about to start a new job and you're thinking to yourself, I'd like to get off to a great start my first 90 days. Very smart. In today's video, I'm going to give you 13 great tips to help you get off to a great start in the first 90 days of your new job. Let's go. Now, in addition to being in the recruiting industry and being a recruiter, I'm also a people manager. I manage a team of 40 recruiters, and I know there is a huge benefit to getting off to a great start. So I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. Let's go through these tips one by one, and make sure you stick around to the end because the last few are very important. Now, the first thing you need to do is don't try to go in there and impress everybody. Instead, be a sponge. Nobody likes it when a person comes in and pretends to be a know-it-all and they're trying to teach you something and you go, yeah, I know that already. Yeah, I know that already. Or yeah, I did that in my last job. Instead, focus on being a sponge. Ask questions. Learn as much as you can. It is very important not only to just learning how to do the role appropriately, but building relationships with the people training you to view your first 90 days as not to go out there and prove you are amazing at what you're doing and you're better than everybody, but instead be a sponge, learn, and assimilate. Now, it's your first day. Advice, dress to impress. It is, I've probably said this like a million times in interviews, but I'll say it again right here. You would much rather come in and be a little bit overdressed your first day than come in and be underdressed your first day. One of those things is way more comfortable than the other. So make sure you dress to impress on your first day. You don't get a chance to make a first impression. Again, this is it. So come in, dress to impress. Kind of similar one here, but be early. What I like to do is I like to know the route. If it's in person, right? Make sure you know exactly how long it is going to take you on that route to your new job, and you're there at least 15 minutes early. I'm the type of person, I will literally arrive at a job my first day like half an hour early. And I'll wait in the car if I need to for a little bit before I go in, because being 30 minutes early is so much better than being 30 seconds late for your first day. Now, this tip goes back to the first one a little bit, and that's take notes, right? You want to be a sponge, and part of being a sponge is taking great notes. So my advice here is take an actual piece of like a notebook and a pen and write down, because what you're doing is you can say, I'm just going to take some notes here. And it's actively showing them that you're absorbing what they're telling you and you're writing it down. If you don't do it in a notebook, if some of you are saying, Ben, that's so old school. It's a little bit old school, but it's also so much better than doing it on a cell phone. Some people say, oh, I've got a notes app, I'm taking it. But it is so easy to appear like you're texting or playing Wordle or catching a Pokemon or playing chess. These are all things I do. So it is so much easier to look like you're not engaged when you're taking notes on your cell phone. That's why I love a pad of paper. If you prefer to meet in the middle, OneNote is also a great way to do it. But make sure you're saying, I've got a OneNote tab here, and I just want to take notes so I can remember everything you're telling me. And make sure you're clear about that. But remember, notes, really important. You want to be able to reference back to what you're actually learning. If it's day one, week one, keep your lunch plans open. Feel free to bring a lunch just in case nobody invites you out, but most of the time they're gonna wanna bring you out. Your team, your manager, your mentor, people at your company are probably gonna bring you out and do lunch with you, so just be open. Keep your lunch plans open and be available. It is really important to connect with the people you're going to be working with. And let's just say you arrive and it's your first week and someone goes, hey, I'd like to invite you to lunch, and you go, that's okay. I brought a lunch. That right there is a missed opportunity. That's an opportunity you could have been going out, learning about them, asking about them, learning about the role, the opportunity, the culture, the team. It makes you come off as rude and uninterested in connecting with that. So make sure that when you look at the first week, your lunch isn't just about eating. Your lunch is about building relationships with people and getting off to a good, fast start with the people that you're going to be working with. Speaking of that, I want to talk about being intentional to learn about and know your teammates. It is really important to get to know people. Building rapport, asking questions of people, actively listening, learning about them, and making a first impression is going to be key, because like it or not, the work you do is only one factor to how your performance is going to be evaluated. The other thing that's going to be evaluated as you're working with a team is team fit. Are they a good teammate? Are they working together? This person a net positive or a net negative? Are they going to be people who are good to collaborate with? All that stuff matters. So make sure you're friendly, smiling, connecting with the people that you work with, and ask them questions like these, like how long have you been here? What do you like most about being here? And what about the future of this team or this organization excites you? What do you do in your free time? What are your interests outside of work? Things like that are really important, and you want to ask these questions, show that you're listening. Don't just be thinking of your answer in case they ask you the same thing back. Like, listen to them, understand it, and remember it. That way, you can talk to them in the future and you know things about them. But please, do yourself a favor, be intentional about building relationships and knowing your teammates. Do the same thing with your boss. That's the next tip. Get to know your boss. You want to listen to them, understand what they're telling you, understand the priority they're placing on things, but you also want to try to build rapport too. Building rapport with your boss is an effort that will absolutely be rewarded over the long term. Building that relationship is key. You want them to see you as a reliable member of the team, but also as a person that they connect with, they enjoy being around. It is beneficial. It seems like a small thing. It's not. It's very important. One of the things that's really important when you start a new role is being highly responsive. The last thing you want to do is start a job and you have your hiring manager, your new manager, reaching out to you, asking you for things, and you're just taking forever, or you're not responding. You want to be highly communicative and highly responsive. They send you an email, say, absolutely, let me get that to you. I should have it to you in an hour. Or, hey, Ben, do you have this? Yes, here it is right there. Send it back. You don't want them to start thinking, wow, I hired this person. It's their first week on the job, first month on the job, and they are just not responding to me. That is going to put doubt in their mind that perhaps they hired the wrong person. You do not want them thinking about that. You don't want them thinking that. So make sure that you're highly communicative. Make sure you're highly responsive. Those little things right there. Timing, speed, punctuality, being responsive, very important early on. One of the things you should want to do too is learn about the company culture and kind of assimilate. If there are norms in the culture that you're belonging in, you want to find out what those are, and then you want to be a part of that, right? So maybe they try to have fun and they have an activity that they do together. Well, you want to do that. The last thing you want to do when you're starting a new job is for your teammates to feel like, they're not one of us. They don't fit in. They're not willing to do the things to fit into this group. Maybe they all go to lunch together. Maybe, once a week after work, they go to a happy hour. And I understand everybody can't do everything. Maybe you have family commitments, but generally speaking, I consider it to be really important to connect with your new teammates early on, learn about the company culture, assimilate, and become a cog in that wheel as soon as humanly possible. So you should be very intentional about trying to do that. One of the things I'm always really intentional about when I start a new job is showing that I am a hard worker. For me, when I first started my career, I remember thinking to myself, I want my boss not to know for sure if I ever leave here. I'm going to arrive earlier than him and I'm going to leave later than him. Now, this might not work for everybody, that very specific thing, but you absolutely want them to feel good about the decision they made hiring you by seeing you work hard, being a hard worker. So be intentional to show them that you are going to be a hard worker, you're going to get things done quickly, you're going to do things well, there's not going to be spelling errors. That is just advice I would give anyone. Show them you're a hard worker, and if you're able to, show up early, stay a little bit late, early on to demonstrate your work ethic. I think it's worth doing. Next tip, avoid gossip early on. It does not benefit you to burn bridges or make enemies early on in a tenure. I mean, really ever. You don't really want to make enemies. There's no part. It's not like month 18. Yeah, that's when you make enemies. It would be better to not do this. So avoid gossip if you can. If someone comes up with, some gossip or talking bad about one of the members of the team, I personally would try to steer the conversation in a different direction, and I would avoid that just in general. One of the things that I always try to do too is ask for feedback. I want to know, how am I doing from your perspective? Whether that's a mentor, a teammate, a manager, you want to know, hey, I'm early on and learning is really important to me. I really appreciate all your guidance. What could I be doing better? Is there anything I could be doing differently that would make this easier? Asking those questions, asking for feedback, being open to it and receptive. You can't ask for feedback and then when they give it, go, oh, well, I only did that because of this. So that's not really a thing, right? You have to be receptive to that. You have to say, thank you, I appreciate that. That's a change I can make. Really important. Early on, the last thing you want to do is develop bad habits. You don't want to do things the wrong way, continue doing it, and then you find out later that they've been dissatisfied. Ask for feedback, be receptive of that feedback, make the necessary changes. Now, the last thing I want you to do is seek out a mentor. Many companies, my company, for example, has a mentorship program. So you are actually assigned somebody who is your mentor. But if you do not have a mentor and they do not assign you one, try to find somebody in the company who has been there for a while, they have done your role, they've been successful, and be intentional about checking in with them, saying hi to them, asking their advice on things, thanking them, and try to work your way into that mentorship relationship where they can kind of guide you early on and give you the shortcuts to the things they had to learn the hard way, so that in that first 90 days, you can be as effective as possible. Video's over, but don't go anywhere. I want you to watch this video next. This is how to go about getting a raise at your current job. So I'm gonna assume you're gonna come in, you're gonna do a great job, you're gonna absolutely destroy that first 90 days. But let's say it's a year from now and you're like, I need a raise. This video right here, this is gonna help you how to get there. Let's go.